Welcome everybody. Llandow in South Wales is the venue for round one of the FAB British Championships with riders from just 6 years of age. This is the starting point for anyone looking toward a career in the major formulas of motorcycle racing. Coming up in part one, we've got Junior Minimoto Pro and the rookie class as well, riders from 6 years of age. In part two, MotoGP's younger brother Mini GP50 and Snr Minimoto. In part three, it's Mini GP70 and Moto Team. And in part four, pit bikes and Mini F1 Sidecars. Before racing got underway though, I caught up with the championship organiser, Roger Keys. Roger, FAB Racing organises the British Minibikes Championships. Tell me a little bit about the history.
Well, we started it in 2004 because I just had this passion to try and produce young riders that could go on, take the steps up as far as even Grand Prix, which has actually happened with one rider, but also to give good fun riding to the adults at very affordable prices. And so we set it up at that time in conjunction with the MMRA, and then finally a couple of years later we took it all over from mini motos right the way through to the pit bikes and the Moto Team and even the Mini F1 Sidecars.
And it's been responsible. We're seeing a lot of riders in the upper echelons of motorcycle racing these days, racing at the real top level. We've got a few here this weekend as well who've come back just to have some fun. There's a real history. This is really where it starts. If you want to be a MotoGP rider, I guess this is the championship to start in.
Well, it seems to have been that way. We've actually got two riders in Grand Prix now. Scott Redding's in MotoGP, the very top class. Danny Kent is in Moto 3 and also doing extremely well. We've got Bradley Ray, who rode in the MotoGP Rookies Cup last year and also rode in CV, which is the Spanish Championship and some of the British Championships very successfully. I think we've had 5 British champions in Moto Star, Supersport 600 and also in Superstock 600 as well. So there are a lot of riders who've gone on to make big marks in the world of motorcycle racing.
So welcome then, the dawning of a new era for the FAB Racing British Minibikes Championship in 2015. Jake Sanson and Alan TDi talking you through the action. The first race up, the Junior Minimoto Pro Championship. Josh Watley, double winner earlier on alongside Casey O'Gorman, Elliot Pinson and Jay Abel on row 2 ahead of Callum Beach. And away we go for the first race of the 2015 season then. This is for the air-cooled 40cc Championship mixed. Oh, terrible start there from the number 7. That's O'Gorman down from 2nd on the grid, fighting off 5th position down to 4th place then. So a terrible start there for O'Gorman. Yeah,
he's been chased by Elliot Pinson on board here with Max Parrish. That's Carris Jones just in front. They're at the back of the field. Parrish has only been on a bike, I think, for 4 months or so, something like that. But it's Watley who's got a cracking start. O'Gorman's got an awful start there, down in 4th place. Bit of a gap there in the top 5, back to the 84 of Oscar Pinson.
It's very close at the moment as they come out of McQuarters through Lancaster and out of Chandler's down the Spitfire Straight. And we've already got a bit of a race battle developing here. Josh Watley trying to get away from Jay Abel, the 9-year-old. 3rd overall in the novice class in 2014. 3rd is Corey Stainer. And Elliot Pinson's through to 4th place. He's got past Casey O'Gorman. Oscar Pinson in 6th place. So the meat in a Pinson sandwich there, O'Gorman. From Callum Beach, Harvey Claridge, Brodie Crockford in 9th ahead of Jeremy Knight.
On board here, back on board with the 111 machine. Carris Jones it was on the 9 machine. She was just in front of Max Parrish, but looks like Parrish has got it down the inside.
76 in trouble. 76, that's Elliot Pinson. Elliot Pinson is out of it. Oh dear, already having just got up to 4th position, so technical problems there with the bike for Pinson, and that is an absolute travesty in this last race. There was a genuine crack at a podium there.
Josh Watley on fire out front. Has been helped by Casey O'Gorman's poor start, but he's comfortably ahead of Jay Abel.
And I think that's O'Gorman making the push back into 3rd position. Yes, what a nice little move that was on the inside of McQuarters as well. Back with the pack here, Max Parrish on board with the treble 1, having a look at Carris Jones in the 9. I'm not sure he's going to be able to hold that on the way through the right hand. No, he has. Very nicely done there from Parrish. It was a tricky line to get right there on the outside line, especially in the damp conditions here at Llandow. He nailed that perfectly. Through the Dell, 5th place for Oscar Pinson, followed by Beach, Claridge and Crockford. Down into Raymond's one more time. Comfortable lead Watley has. O'Gorman, he might have an opportunity here. Yes, he's got him on the switchback. Abel's not giving up though. He cuts straight back across. Take that, matey boy. And he's kept the position. Great battling between these two. Now what has Casey O'Gorman got up his sleeve? Here he comes. Desperately trying to get through the 7-year-old. And it's a great little battle for the second and third place men. But this young man out in front, Josh Whatley, is being allowed to control his own pace at the front. He's riding perfectly here as he makes his way through McWhirters once again. Abel and O'Gorman, this is a great scrap. And Abel, look, he's parking the bike exactly where he needs to, on the racing line. O'Gorman is going to have to try something drastic to move up here.
We'll try and get him on the switchback, I think. O'Gorman down to the Dell here. That's the lead that Whatley has. O'Gorman's still not got him.
Yeah, it's massive. Look at the gap.
That bad start that O'Gorman got could put pay to
Oh,
his
he's going to try and
winning.
run around the outside. Can he make the move stick on the exit of the chicane there? Oscar Pinson, the 84, we were just watching there as he comes through.
Here comes
Side
O'Gorman
by
down the
side.
outside.
He's
Got
nailed it.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely perfect move from O'Gorman. That was perfectly done. Right on the timeline in the braking zone. He got it absolutely spot on. And now there's pressure from the man who started in 6th on the grid, Corey Stainer. He's getting involved in the battle now.
One thing I did notice there going into the hook that time, Casey O'Gorman here, look at that. He seems to take a wider line than everybody else. He's much more confident on the parts of the circuit where it's damp. You see, he's taken a wider line there. Everyone else seems to be looking for the dry line. That's Corey Stainer there on the 34.
Yeah, he's having a look at Jay Abel, and look at the gap that Casey O'Gorman has been able to pull out in 2nd place. There's Whatley, the leader. Look at that. That is huge compared to the fact that a lap ago he was trying to get into 2nd position. He's gone. He might actually have the stones to get closer to Whatley here. Meanwhile, Abel and Stainer still having this great battle. Abel is having a real job keeping Stainer back. What an exit speed that was. He just got the momentum off the corner beautifully there. As O'Gorman, he just checks his bearings, looks back, makes sure that he's got enough space to go for a much more aggressive line. Still trying to chase down Josh Whatley up ahead. It's the battle for 3rd position that'll hit us next. Oh, they're almost side by side. Abel and Stainer still on it. Then comes Oscar Pinson with Callum Beach chasing him down, and then Harvey Claridge. Look how strong the wind is. I think that's fair to say it's well and truly gale force. The 9-year-old from Montreux still out front, won all 3 races in the Mini GP50 class at Benidorm in the World Championships earlier this season. So he's hoping to get his British campaign off to a strong start. There's the 35 of Jeremy Knight as we watch Stuart Campbell, the young man from Wokingham, 7 years of age, battling with Max Parrish, the Scott Redding Riders Academy rider. 10-year-old from Clevedon. We saw him take on Karis Jones and win that battle quite nicely. Now what can he make of the 99?
Oh, Pinson's down. Elliot Pinson on the 76 is off.
He's having a terrible day, isn't he? Absolutely. He had that problem earlier on, and now he's fallen. So
into the last lap, it's still Whatley that leads, but look how much closer O'Gorman has got. There's Whatley, and there comes O'Gorman behind him. He's closing him in into the final turn.
Well, Matthew McCord just in front could actually cause a little bit of a problem here for Whatley if he gets the line wrong, but he's moved aside. It's not going to cause too much of an issue. Checkered flag flies. Very nicely done indeed from Whatley. 3 out of 3, but look how close O'Gorman had got to him by the end. If there was a couple laps more, you kind of think it might not have been Whatley's day by the end of it. There's Stainer, delighted with 3rd position. He beat Abel fair and square. And in 5th position, Callum Beach was catching Jay Abel towards the end. He could have made that 4th place with a couple of laps to go. A great start in the Junior Minimoto.
Good race from your point of view. Good start to the championship season, I guess. Just talk us through the race.
Well, we had Jay Abel on the Miami round, so I thought I better get a good start because he's on the Miami and he gets a better drive through off the start. So I thought get a better start and use through all the corners. And he's quicker than me down the straight. So I thought brake late, get on the floor a lot earlier than him, and then I'll probably win the race.
And you did, I guess. So good start to the championship season for you.
Yeah.
Dominating performances in all 3 races has given Josh Whatley a comfortable lead over Callum Beach, is second on 41. Corey Stainer is tied with Casey O'Gorman on 40 points, but it's Stainer that just has it on countback at the moment. In the Minimoto rookie class, it was the 808 bike of Mason Johnson that dominated in the first 2 races, winning by 13 and 24 seconds. But at the start of this race 3, look what happened. We go on board with Mason. The young man from Huddersfield turns it over in turn 2, and that would be the end of his race. He was absolutely devastated, dominated the first 2 races. Out come the TV cameras, and he chucks it off. All his own work, unfortunately, but he's got to take the positives out of the weekend. The poleman, Ryan Hitchcock, he broke down 1 corner later as well. So both riders off the front row, out in four corners. It was Leo Peacock in the early running that will come through for second place, but the 330 bike of Sean Abel, who finished fourth in race 1 and second in race 2, would take up the early running and look like he was going to run away with it. The 46 bike of Ollie Walker at this stage was third, the 7-year-old for Western Supermare, but it was Sean Abel dominating in the early stages. But could the 8-year-old hang on? The 6-year-old Emmanuel Brinton would come through for third. He was on the blue machine. That's Leo Peacock going through in second. Ryan Hitchcock on the 34 bike would get it going again, but he'd be 4 laps down before he did. Cameron Saul would plough a lonely furrow. Now, for any young kids watching who want to ride a motorcycle, here's a demonstration of what to do in the corner by Ollie Walker. He's looking where he wants to go, not where the bike is pointing. One of the most important lessons you'll learn before getting on a motorcycle. Now, into the last lap, you thought it was all over for Sean Abel. Oh, a chance. Jake Sanson called them home.
The last lap, Emmanuel Brinton sets the fastest lap. He's right on the back of Leo Peacock, and Peacock might have a chance here on Sean Abel. Going into Raymond's hairpin for the last time. He's just got to get it perfectly. He's drifting out wide. He's on the wet stuff. This is not good. Leo Peacock might get the acceleration off the line. It's side by side, but no, Sean Abel just gets there. Oh, yes, what a way to start the 2015 campaign, from 6th on the grid to 1st. Peacock second ahead of Emmanuel Brinton, Ollie Walker and Keaton Payne. Magnificent, and a grandstand finish to kickstart the season.
Sean Abel it is then that has a championship lead after round 1 by 6 points from Leo Peacock, but look out for Mason Johnson at round 2. He'll be on a mission. More mini bikes coming up after the break.
Welcome back to Llandow in Wales, round 1 of the FAB Racing British Minibikes Championships. It's the Mini GP50 class for the juniors next. Addy Behal and Josh Watley on the front row with Ossian Jones and Callum Beach, Blake Ansell and Cameron Hall, then Luke Coggins, Callum Wybrow, Harvey Claridge, Jeremy Knight and Jaden Evans. And there's problems for Claridge. Oh dear, yep. Claridge has had a bit of a stall there on the grid. Alan, you called it perfectly, and it's Behal and Watley out in front, pulling away in the early stages.
Now Watley, we've already seen in the Minimoto Junior Pro winning that race. He's trying to double up here. A lot of these riders will race more than one class in this championships, and as we know from the graphic in the Minimoto race earlier on in part 1, Josh Watley won all 3 races at the first round of the World Championships in this class, Jake.
Yep, spectacular start in 3rd position. Blake Ansell from 5th on the grid has come up to 3rd place, so good work from him off the line. But it's Watley out in front at the moment, hoping to convert his great success in the World Championships up at Benidorm in the Mini GP50 into British success. So it's Watley and Behal, then Blake Ansell, Ossian Jones, there's Hall, and then we've got those 3 behind: Beach, Wybrow, Coggins. Is this a move? Behal just having a little bit of a look, not trying it too early, but he's wanting to threaten. He knows he's there. There's Claridge. So Claridge has got going again. He's got past Jaden Evans on this first lap already. So Harvey Claridge is back in the action.
Well down the field though, after that stall on the start line. There is Harvey Claridge, the 9-year-old from Staining, Nova Racing, grandson of Martin Ford Dunn. There, Martin is a very, very well-known engine tuner and builder.
Yes, indeed, and he'll be keeping an eye on his young charge out on the race circuit here today. This is getting a little bit tense here for the lead, because Addy Behal's looking very competitive here. Josh Watley has already pretty much set the form book alight in the early part of 2015 in Mini GP50, and we saw him win all 3 races in Junior Minimoto earlier on. Very different bike this, much bigger, a much more technical, dynamic way of riding these bikes. You've got to be so much on your A game, and it looks as though Behal's actually shaping him up for Raymond's.
Got him down the inside, on the damp patch down the inside. On board here with Behal, and he has got him.
Yes,
Has he held on to it though? He has.
Oh, Watley tried to get the switch back there, and he just missed the apex a tiny little bit as he cut across. So it was beautifully timed by Behal. Look at this battle as well. Ansell and Jones are really on it for 3rd position. Blake Ansell still having a great race after that start. There's Coggins on the 12.
Yellow machine. Here's the battle for the lead again. It's still Behal that has it then, the 12-year-old from Maidenhead.
Now that is an onboard. That's a great view as we look back towards Watley, hoping to try and get that lead back again. He's had a pretty much flawless day at Llandow so far, but Addy Behal is about to spoil the party here as they make their way through the Dell. And they'll come back round Diggers once again, and this is going to be a very tight battle. This is a tricky circuit for bikes. In karts, you see fantastic wheel-to-wheel stuff here, but in bikes, it's really tricky, very technical. Lots of very fast speeds and slow stops.
Just got in. Great move by the 9-year-old from Ottershaw. 9 years old, Jake, on these 6-speed machines. Very difficult to ride.
You certainly wouldn't think it from the way he's handling it at the moment. Adi Bihal, very much the man on form in this class today, won both the earlier races, but now it's time for Josh Watley to emerge from his shadow. Current Mini GP70 World Championship leader, Adi Bihal. He's doing a great job, the young man from Maidenhead.
This is the Mini GP50 class, of course. We've got the 70 class coming up later on in the programme. He'll be in that as well.
Through the fast-flowing Lancaster and into Chandler as they go. Look at the gap he's already managed to pull off there. Look, Watley has actually stretched to about 6 or 7 bike lengths there as they come through the Dell once more. Watley has definitely got the advantage here on Bihal, but I don't think the number 50 is going to be there for long.
Easier to chase than be chased, of course. Bihal can judge his braking on what Watley is doing out front and gets a lot closer in Raymond's hairpin into the hook this time.
He got good acceleration there off the corner, but the trouble is the short straight means that you can get on the power, but you're already into the apex of the next corner before you can make the move. So Bihal definitely gets better acceleration off the hairpin, but he's just not able to get close enough before he's having to straighten up his line for the next move. There's Ossian Jones battling away, trying to close up on Blake Ansell once again. Actually, it looks as though Blake Ansell's fallen away from that little battle. Hall and Coggins having a nice little scrap here. Rookie season in Mini GP50 for Coggins, and he's definitely catching Hall. Looks as though the 11-year-old from Barnsley, who also rides in the GP70 class incidentally, is actually going to have quite a tall order on his hands here. And Watley, look, the gap has come down. Adi Bihal has been chasing him down as they close up on Callum Wybrow to lap him. Bihal's got a good opportunity here. They're side by side. He's got a chance at Raymonds.
Oh, great move. Great move later on the brakes there for Bihal. So Bihal back in front.
Oh, that was close. Wybrow almost caught them up in that one, but a very nice little manoeuvre there from Bihal. He timed that to perfection and he made him take the outside line. Just watching Claridge go through once again. But Bihal, he absolutely timed that move to perfection. He made Watley go to the outside line there. He didn't have a chance. He actually held him up on turning as well. Did you notice? Yeah. He was very careful at making sure that there was absolutely no doubt about who was going to get that lead.
Jones there going through in 3rd place in amongst the back markers. 12 bike there, Luke Coggins coming down to the Dell, is in 6th place currently. You can see the tricky conditions. Here come the leaders in behind him. That's Callum Beach on the 127, the 9-year-old from Abergele in North Wales, just up the road from us, Jake.
Yes, indeed. He was the under-9s Minimoto World Champion in 2014, so he'll be hoping to keep that pace and rhythm going in the 2015 season. Blake Ansell, getting held up. Big star there behind Claridge. He would have lost 2 or 3 seconds in that. That's going to be very frustrating indeed. But look at the way that Bihal has worked his way through the traffic. He's actually managed to make this lead come to him. He's doing very well over Josh Watley. He's been very disciplined and he's actually got a bit of a lead in his... Hang on a minute, he's not cruising, is he? Because Watley, he's suddenly coming back at him.
Yeah, you can see how he's having difficulty just settling the bike. He's not ultra confident in the conditions, is he? The damp patches on the circuit just causing these riders to have a think about it.
There's Ansell, 4th position, still trying to close up on Ossian Jones. And look how much closer Watley is now on Bihal. This isn't done yet. We've got half a lap to go, and Watley is right on the tail of Bihal. He might get an opportunity into Raymonds.
1 turn left. Can he get him down into Raymonds on the brakes? That's the 127 in front. Callum Beachy may have the part to play here, but no. It's Bihal that gets it turned in, and he's going to win the drag race to the line. Bihal wins it then from Watley in 2nd, has to content himself with 2nd this time around after his win in the Minimoto Junior Pro earlier on.
Well, Callum Wybrow still getting held up by Blake Ansell on the run to the line, and it's allowed this man, Ossian Jones, a great charge to 3rd position. How about that? Great performance there from Jones. Worked his way through very nicely indeed. 4th position for Blake Ansell in the 20, and his hand is in the air. Total frustration. I got held up all the way through that race, and Callum Beach able to come home in 5th position. So great work from Adi Bihal. He takes the win from Watley. 3rd for Jones, 4th for Ansell, and 5th for Callum Beach.
Adi, that was a pretty intense race. Just talk us through it from your point of view.
It was an intense race with Josh. A good battle with him, and throughout the race, good battle.
And good start to the championship season, of course. You can't win the championship round at round one, but it's always good to take a win, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good to get a head start.
Championship points then look like this. After the first 3 races of the season, it's Bihal that has a lead from Watley in second and Ocean Jones in third place. A small grid of senior Minimotos will turn up at the championship for the first time in a while, and the early running was made by the 226 machine of Adam Hartgrove. It was Sam Monroe and Richard Holmes-Williams who took the wins in races 1 and 2, but in this early running, Hartgrove looked like he might dominate, but no such luck as Monroe came up the inside to take the top spot from him. So Monroe would take the lead from Hartgrove, with the 45 machine of James Snow slotting into third, but look out for the man in the yellow and black suit. He was on a mission. That's Richard Holmes-Williams on the 126 machine. He was in 5th place at this stage, but he wouldn't be in 5th place for long. It was Monroe that led through the Dell for the first time, out through Diggers onto the Hanger Straight and down to the Raymond's Hairpin. Monroe had it from the 226 machine of Adam Hartgrove. James Snow at this stage was in 3rd place, but he was being hounded by Richard Holmes-Williams in 4th, the man in the black and yellow suit, and he wasn't going to be happy with 4th for long. You could just make out going through the line there the slightly slower air-cooled machines of Andy Whedon on the 77 and Nick Bennett rounding out the field. It wouldn't take long for Richard Holmes-Williams to dispose of James Snow in 3rd place and move himself up into the podium spots, and at this stage he was looking like he could be the one to beat. Monroe was that led it from Hartgrove in 2nd as they came round to the right-hander at Chandler's this time. Looked like Monroe ran slightly wide, and that allowed Adam Hartgrove up the inside and Richard Holmes-Williams to get that much closer. So Hartgrove through the Dell takes the lead from Monroe, but look at Holmes-Williams. Monroe fights back, but Holmes-Williams is having none of it. Look at the arms out. Now I can tell you, interestingly enough, I remember as he takes 2nd place, Holmes-Williams, he's got his arms straight out. I remember somebody in karting years ago going into a wind tunnel and finding out that, believe it or not, is the most aerodynamic shape on a machine with no bodywork. So I wonder if Richard Holmes-Williams has been doing some research. It was Hartgrove that led it from Richard Holmes-Williams at this stage. As we rejoin it through Chandler's though, it was Holmes-Williams that took the lead, but look at the off in the background. That's Sam Monroe, the early winner, and that was a bit of a disaster from him. Just digs in on the rear end and kicks him over the high side. Fantastic action though in the final stages as Hartgrove takes the lead on the 226, but Holmes-Williams has him back down in Raymond's Hairpin, and at the flag it was Holmes-Williams that would just hold on. John Farr on the 48 bike would take advantage of Monroe's misfortune. Monroe would get back on the bike to finish 4th, with James Snow coming in 5th place. So the official result then, the top 5. Richard Holmes-Williams adds to his win in race 2 to take 2 wins from the 3 races. Hartgrove in 2nd, Farr 3rd, Monroe in 4th and James Snow 5th. The championship points after round 1 look like this, with Richard Holmes-Williams having a 12-point lead over Sam Monroe. James Snow a further 3 points back. We'll be back with more from Llandow after the break.
Welcome back to Llandow. Everybody has been fighting the brutal 60-mile-an-hour gusts of wind. Terrible weekend here for weather, but fortunately it has at least stopped raining, at least in time for the Mini GP70 class, and it's going to be a great race, this one. Addy Bihal lining up on the front of the grid alongside Johnny Campbell, with Brandon Payne and Jake Clark in row 2, Jordan McCord and Tom Alexander from Elliot Pinson, the talented Jody Fieldhouse, Cameron Hall and Felix Hearn taking up the positions on row 5 of the grid. 2-stroke 50cc Metro Kit Mini GP70 bikes, and they're off and away. And Jordan McCord is nearly up and away there. That's a very chaotic start to his race, but out in front still it is the 50 of Addy Bihal just taking over that strong lead. Jordan McCord, he did lose a big amount of momentum in that wobble.
So Bihal, that won the Mini GP50 race earlier on, leading this one again. He's out front from Campbell in second. Clark's come through for third. Then comes Payne. Tom Alexander on the 5. Then McCord on 58. Then comes Pinson, Hearn, Hall and Fieldhouse rounding out the grid.
We've got ourselves a nice little battle starting up here between the top 4. Jake Clark up to third position. He was actually third in Mini GP50 last season, and he's come through to second, my apologies. He's made the move on the 155 of Johnny Campbell, so a brilliant little spread there, and Campbell and Payne were the winners earlier on, of course, so they are hoping to make it 2 out of 3, but Adi Bihal out in front is hoping to stop them in their charge, but the 13 of Jake Clark, he's on it and up the move. Very close indeed there. He's made it stick.
Yeah, he's the man on fire on the 13 bike. Jake Clark, that's Felix Hearn on the 28.
Can I just point out that is 4th on the grid to 1st in 1 lap. Jake Clark absolutely on it.
And dropping them. Look at that. That's him. He's dropping them already. This is going to be a comfortable victory here for Jake Clark.
Look at the charge away from them. He's practically in a different postcode compared to the other riders.
That's incredible. Brandon Payne there on the 23 bike, the 15-year-old from Dudley in West Midlands. Didn't start in race 1, but went on to win race 2 as the Mini GP50 champion last season. This is the leader, Clark. Look at this for a lead, Jake.
This is Rossi territory, isn't he? He's absolutely flying away from the rest of the field. Marc Marquez, eat your heart out.
Yeah, well, we're giving away our age here saying Rossi because it's Marquez really.
It is Marquez nowadays, isn't it?
He's the young man these days that they've all got to beat.
Oh, up on the inside, that's Tom Alexander making a move on Brandon Payne. Payne's trying to get the switch back. Very close indeed. I think Payne might have him back again. Yes, he does. Alexander is going to have... And they both got past the 155 of Johnny Campbell. Campbell lost out big style at Raymond's. He's lost 2 places there. So that's Payne up another. Here's Fieldhouse making the move on Hearn. Only been riding GP70s very, very recently, got started in this class, so Fieldhouse, that's definitely one to watch. Look at that, a huge tank snapper nearly.
Alexander nearly chucks it off there. You can see his bike's a bit frisky. You can see the conditions very, very difficult for these riders. It's dry in parts of the track, it's damp in others, but the man revelling in them, Jake Clark, look at the lead. Unbelievable. And bear in mind, the man on the 50 machine there is the leader in the World Championships at the moment, Jake.
Yes, indeed. Alexander 9/10 towards the high side there, but he just manages to collect it together before Campbell gets through. But now this is giving Alexander a real taste of what it's like to close in on Payne. Payne shuts the door nicely. Oh, great acceleration off the corner. Take that, sunshine. I'll have the place. Brilliant.
Fantastic. Great move there by Alexander through Raymond's. Into the hook one more time. It's Alexander up to third place. He's on the podium at the moment. Payne on the Repsol Honda replica bike there in 4th place. Up the inside is he.
That's a
yeah, he's got him as well.
Yep.
Oh, and Alexander there runs wide. He's a bit frisky on that bike.
Yeah, he put him under pressure and he just got one wheel onto the damp stuff, and that was where the bike decided to carry him. Meanwhile, look at the distance Clark has put on Adi Bihal in 2nd position. Clark, he might as well be on a MotoGP bike compared to everybody else out there, such as the distance. Cameron Hall just working his way onto the start-finish straight as we watch the battle for 3rd position. Here's Payne back into 3rd place, and there's the man in 6th just trying to close them down, McCord, after that little wobble. Then just behind is the 76 of Elliot Pinson. Up the inside comes Alexander.
So back for 3rd place, but not for long. Has he got him back on the switchback? He has.
Yep, Alexander just drifted out too wide at Raymond's there, and McCord is going to get closer to these 3 if we're not careful. At the moment, Campbell's got a grandstand view of this battle, and now he's had enough of sitting in 5th place. He wants to take on Alexander up the inside line. Look, he's giving him all the room in the world, and then he sweeps by to cut the nose. Absolutely brilliant. So beautiful riding at the moment from Alexander. Oh, no! Low side! Lost it all together, and he was always in danger of doing that, unfortunately. Let's look at it again.
Yeah, the bike's looked frisky all race long, hasn't it? And he just loses it. I mean, he's on the dry line, but he just loses the front end, and unfortunately for Tom Alexander, that is his race over.
Yeah, he just carried too much speed into the corner, and that was it, all it needed. And now that's given Campbell a 2nd win. He's now on the back of Payne, trying to make the move for 3rd position, and they're both catching Bihal. Bihal is losing ground to these 2. McCord still trying to get away from the 76 of Pinson. We look back. Who's next? That's the 28. That's Hearn. So Felix Hearn still trying to get into the mix of 6th position. He could get there actually at this rate. There is Alexander. He's got himself back up and running again, but he's lost all that time he made up. He's got so much hard work to do, and that's Fieldhouse behind him.
Here comes the leader. Clark down the heat inside of Fieldhouse, who is the back marker. Nice move. Unlucky for some, number 13, but not for Jake Clark today. He's well out front as we hit the last lap.
Where is everybody else? There's the answer. Half a lap behind. Behouse, second position. Payne and Campbell fighting for third position now. Can Campbell get the acceleration? No. Payne has parked the bike exactly where he needs to through the apex, and that's going to keep Campbell back at least for another couple of corners. But I do get the suspicion that the 155 is not going to be content to sit there for too much longer. It's basically this little section of the course that he's going to get his opportunity. Jake Clark on a 54.7, streets ahead of everybody else. But Bihal, look, he's getting tentative now. There's a chance that Payne could grab second place here.
Bihal's definitely under pressure. That's Alexander, who's back on the bike. He's got the race leader right behind him now. Looks like Clark will make a comfortable, well, he doesn't need to make a move, does he?
No,
not
indeed.
close enough anyway.
Yeah, he just cruises through the last corner on the dry line, no pressure at all. He's commanded this race dominantly, brilliant victory, fantastic display. Even the checkered flag man struggling to wave the checkered flag in this wind, but it is a great win for Jake Clark. Second position is done and dusted. Third place is anybody. Oh, Campbell nearly loses it completely, but it's second for Bihal, third for Brandon Payne, fourth for Campbell. That was close.
Campbell was shaking his head there. I think he's just happy to get away with fourth place in the end. It could have been much worse.
Yes, indeed, and it ends up with fifth position, just being won by Jordan McCord ahead of Elliot Pinson there. But very close fight indeed for second, third and fourth. It's a one-man show up in front for Jake Clark, who runs away and hides. Absolutely commanding performance here in the Mini GP70.
Jake, winner in the Mini GP70 race. Good race from your point of view. Just talk us through it.
Yeah, I got a good start. I was second in the last few, and I managed to push up front. Yeah.
So where do we go from here in the championship? And what are you looking for moving forward? Because this is the start of a career, isn't it, towards MotoGP, I guess.
Yeah,
But is that where you want to be?
Yeah, hopefully.
It's Clark, Campbell and Payne, the top three positions in the championship after round one. Clark finished second in the first two races, but come the TV cameras, come the man. Now the mini highlights in this part features Moto Team, the class where you can have up to 3 riders if you want to. It also happens to feature the greatest Moto Team in the world, bar none. It's Fifi Le Ding Dong, ridden by Trevor Fife. He's the only rider in the team. And when I say Fifi Le Ding Dong are the greatest team in the world, I'm not necessarily saying they're the fastest team in the world. Jake picked up the commentary on lap 1.
Sam Clowes, Ian Jackson and Trevor Fife leading the way for SFC Racing, Devil Racing and Fifi Le Ding Dong respectively. And this little battle between Clowes and Jackson out in front could well be characterising the entirety of this race. Jackson in the 27.
You wonder what the face of the devil looks like. You've just seen it. It's Ian Jackson. They go through the shot. These two well clear. Here comes the best team in the world, the greatest Moto Team. It's Fifi Le Ding Dong in third. Can they hold on, Jake?
Well, No Name Racing in fourth position, trying to close things down with the 65. Mark Pollitt of Ox Racing trying to close down on the No Name Racing bike, the 19. Trevor Fife taking a very nice line through Raymond's there, but it's Fife in third. Fourth is Tony Campana of No Name Racing. Well, he's given the game away a bit there, Alan. Surely No Name Racing, it's supposed to say what it says on the tin, isn't it?
Yeah, when we asked him for his name, he should have just said, I'm not telling you. It's No Name Racing. I can't tell you.
So Fife and Campana with Pollitt on the 65 Ox Racing bike in fifth position. Single rider teams a lot of this field, but it's more about the fun and games element of the team spirit.
Talking of fun and games, the 65 bike there, at the beginning of the weekend, as he looks like he's made the move up the inside, has he?
I think he might have moved up to fourth, yes.
He was called MT's Mr. Nasty at the beginning of the weekend. And then he said, I've changed the name, and I'm sure he said Hot Racing to me, but he's just... he then emailed me to say, no, it's now Ox Racing. So,
I think he's changing his names more time than he's changing socks. Yeah. Brilliant. So as the battle for third position continues on there. Oh, at the inside.
Oh, Pollitt's nearly taken off. Fifi, that's disgraceful.
You'd never have forgiven him if he'd managed to pull that off. So as the race developed then, it was going to be a two-man scrap, but in the end, Ian Jackson got down to hard work and pulled away in fantastic style. Made the move, flew away, 59.161 fastest lap. and the team race won by Devil Racing with Ian Jackson on the bike. Sam Clowes in second position, a third in fine style for Ox Racing, ahead of Fifi Le Ding Dong.
I don't like that.
No, you don't like it.
I'm not happy about that at all.
And No Name Racing in fifth position. So fantastic work for Devil Racing then, topping the points at the end of the first round for your favourites, Fifi Le Ding Dong, second place, with Hot Racing, Ox Racing, or whatever you want to call them, third.
Welcome back to Llandow. Pit Bike 140 and Pit Bike Open running on the track at the same time, coming up next. And one young man alongside me, you may notice him from other formulas, and certainly in World Supersport last year. It's Fraser Rogers. Fraser, you've been in World Supersport, obviously the upper echelons of motorcycle racing last year, that was. But your whole career started here. Just tell us a little bit about your history.
Yeah, I mean, I started when I was 8 years old in the Minimoto, and then came here in 2005 for my first championship, and I won that on a junior 4.2. Intentions to stay again in 2006, but I broke my arm at school, so I had the year out, and then 2007 I came back to the FAB Championship. We won the Metric 70cc championship then. Yeah, so that sort of gave me the confidence to go on and do bigger and better things, and then I jumped into the Super Teens in 2008, which I won that, and I won the newcomers. And then 2009 we thought I'd moved up again into the GP 125s, and I won that. And then 2010 went into a bit of BSB. 2012, 2013 did Spanish Championship and MotoGP wildcards and a Moto 3. And then finishing off last year, made it to World Championship in the World Supersport class, which runs alongside the World Superbikes, which was good.
Yeah, it's a little bit unusual to see somebody, I mean, for example, if this was car racing, you wouldn't see Lewis Hamilton come out of Formula One and turn up at the first round of the Super 1 British Karting Championships just to have a go, but here you are. It's very unusual, but you're not the only one. You see a lot of riders coming back to the roots, don't we, in this?
I mean, yeah, without this FAB Championship and Roger and everyone, we wouldn't be where we are today, because this is where you start. All these young kids that are riding there, progressively going to move on up through the championship. So it's nice to come back and see everyone, and obviously I enjoy riding a motorbike, so I've got a little CRF 150 Supermoto, so that's good fun to ride out there, especially in the rain, and we've got a few other BSB boys here as well, which is good to race against. So yeah, it's just nice to come back. I also help out a few of the kids and just keep an eye on what they're doing and see who's coming up.
Okay, well, good luck today.
Thank you.
Pole position, there he is, the man himself, Fraser Rogers on pole position alongside the 86 of Charlie Nesbitt. Look at him, already psyching him out before the start of the race. Then we have Brad Ray and TJ Toms on row 2. Further back, Cameron Horsman and the first of the 140 runners, Richard Holmes-Williams. Then it is James Ansell and Alec Wright, Max Cook and Ben Bailey from Daniel Lee and James Snow, Payne, Winterson, Dyer, Blanchard, Close, Good and all. We're ready to race as the green flag drops, and it's a good start from Rogers. Initial getaway, very nice indeed from Charlie Nesbitt, Ray, Toms, Horseman, Holmes-Williams staying in the pack as well. So it looks as if it's as they started in the top 6, with Rogers stretching a slight advantage out in front, not by much. There's Nesbitt right on his tail in the early stages. Brad Ray having a little bit of a look on the way up to the top at McWhirter's, and it's close in behind for TJ Toms, just about holding the legs on Cameron Horsman. Richard Holmes-Williams, the leading 140, still there in 6th position, holding pace with the rest of the front runners.
Alec Wright it was in the Pit Bike 140 class that won both of the earlier races, but he's behind Richard Holmes-Williams at the moment. Had to start behind Richard Holmes-Williams on both occasions, of course, in the earlier races, but came out on top in the end.
Just outside the top 6, Max Cook holding on from Alec Wright, Daniel Lee and Ben Bailey rounding out the top 10 as the field makes their way through Raymonds, Snow, Payne and Winterson not too far away. TJ Toms currently in 4th position where he started. No major moves through the field. Everybody just trying to get used to these bikes on these conditions. A big slide there from James Snow in the 45 on the way through the first little jink to the right.
Richard Holmes-Williams is the leader in the Pit Bike 140 class. He won the senior Minimoto race we saw early on, of course. Finished 4th in race 1 in the Pit Bike 140 class, and then 7th in race 2, as we see Charlie Nesbitt go through for the lead in the Pit Bike Open class. So that drops Rogers down to 2nd place, the 82 in 3rd, Bradley Ray.
Yeah, Brad Ray very nearly made it through to 2nd place as well, and that's brought TJ Toms on the 6th right into play as well. So now it's a 4-man scrap for the lead in this one, and Brad Ray is actually looking like the man to pounce now. He might get that momentum to go through. Fraser Rogers as well. They come off Raymonds, and 86 Nesbitt hits the front for the first time, but Rogers Ray and Tom's very close in behind.
Cameron Horseman getting closer as well. The two bike just going through the picture. Alec Wright won the first 2 races in the pit bike 140 class. Here comes Rogers for the lead.
Oh,
Roger
he
takes
nearly
it back.
slides it.
Oh,
that's
Nesbitt
close.
wide. And that drops Nesbitt, he drops down 2 places in the one corner there, and the 82, Brad Ray, comes through for second.
That was a very nice little manoeuvre from the 89 Rogers, but they both slid on the way through the left-hander, and that dragged them out sideways, and Brad Ray just saw an opportunity and went, cheers for that fella. I'm into second position now, so I'll just pull away. But look at what that's done. Horseman right up to the back of this queue of bikes. It's now a 5-bike scrap for the lead, and clearly the 72 dealing with these conditions very well. He's got the momentum to carry.
Oh, Charlie
no!
Nesbitt!
No, Nesbitt into the back of Ray at Raymond's, and he's down.
He's got it all wrong going into Raymond's. Looks like he may have locked up slightly. Let's have a look at the replay.
Oh yeah,
Well,
look, he's just locked up on the brakes.
Yeah, just
nothing you can do about it. Straight into the back of the wheel.
Gets it all wrong, and that's run Bradley Ray a little bit wide. He's lost a little bit of time. We see the 437 going through the shot there.
I thought I saw the 86 having some problems there as well, so I think that's caused Charlie Nesbitt a lot of damage to the front of the bike. He's managed to get it going again, but he's lost a lot of time, a lot of places, so he's continuing to put himself back into this race, but he's got so much work to make up. And look at what that's done. That's released Fraser Rogers. He's now way out in front, and that actually puts TJ Toms up into second place, because I imagine Brad Ray had to work really hard indeed to get himself back into position. He's down to 4th place now behind the 72 of Cameron Horseman.
Yeah, and it looks like it's put Horseman off slightly going through that turn. He may have had to take avoiding action. That's the 2-bike of Alec Wright. He's in front of Richard Holmes-Williams there, Jake. So the winner of the first 2 races in 140, back in front in this one. He's had to come from behind.
Yellow flags again on the far side of the circuit. Didn't see who went down. Hopefully we'll get a look at that in a moment or two. But we've got Brad Ray all over the back. That was close. That was very nearly a big high side, and up into position has come the 72 of Horseman making the move. So 72 Horseman takes advantage of that little moment and is up to second place past Toms and Ray. Look at that, 72 in second place.
Yeah, TJ lucky to hold on to that there.
Now somebody was off in the background there. Somebody was trying to right the bike. Couldn't see who that was. But Horseman, look at him gaining on Rogers. The gap is down to 1.8 seconds now. Horseman is absolutely charging here. Toms and Ray are being left for dead here in 3rd and 4th position. Horseman is definitely the man to keep an eye on at the moment, as Toms holds that 3rd position.
I can tell you that Cameron Horseman is 9/10 of a second at this stage faster than Fraser Rogers out front. Now, catching him's one thing, getting past is another, and then holding on will be another thing, because Fraser Rogers will not want to lose his
Ray's
race.
got a great exit out of the hairpin of McWhirters. He's got a chance into Chandler's, but he can't quite get the move done. And even Fraser Rogers in the 89 looking a little bit tentative. I wonder, did he hear the wet patch there?
1.16, look at that, he's closed him 7/10 in 1 lap.
Here he comes, he's on the charge. It's going to be the Lone Ranger and Tonto out front, and the 89.
Oh,
what about that slide? How did he save that? How did he save that from down? That was almost the low side, and he manages to catch it.
0.1, just in that one turn. He's lucky to hold on to it. Put Horseman right on the back of him, and Cameron's going to be loving it.
It's time to rub hands with glee here, because we've got a great battle royale in front of us. It looks as though Elliot Ferguson could end up holding them up a little bit here. Yep, Ferguson gets in the way, and he's ended up balking Horseman. We watch Payne having a little bit of a scrap there in the lower positions. They've managed to make it through, but Horseman right on the back of the 89 of Fraser Rogers. Here we go.
Through the dell, out onto the straight, and it looks like Bradley Ray's been held up slightly there by
Toms
the
has been held up even worse. Toms has dropped a 5 and
and
picked up
here
50
comes
feet.
Cameron for the lead. Down the inside, Cameron Horseman sweeps into the lead.
Very nicely done on the
Last
exit
lap.
as well, into the last lap of this race, and Rogers has got just a couple more corners really to really step back on the advantage. He's got to try and take this lead back quickly. Horseman does not
Here comes Fraser up the inside. Fraser back into the lead.
Stunning, absolutely stunning. Nailed the brakes, nailed the apex, nailed the acceleration off the corner. That's a perfect maneuver in these tricky conditions. Yellow flags, so they've got to be careful when they make the overtake here. There's a slower bike in front, and there's Elliot Ferguson in there as well. This is balking them all. It's going to be a 3-man brawl.
And that's put pay to Cameron's race. That's put pay to Cameron's race. He's got the fastest lap. He's 9/10 quicker than Rogers, but Rogers has made the move when it matters. Payne is out, the 4.37.
Yeah, and he's not happy about it. Clearly something amiss there, but that has given number 89 Rogers the perfect chance to go for victory. He's got to be careful into the last bend, but he holds it together, and a nice little wheelie to finish off with. 89 Rogers, perfect finish. Horsman second, third is Ray, fourth is Toms. That's one of those races where I just wish there'd have been one more lap. It would have been absolutely spectacular.
Richard Holmes Williams it was, just going through the picture there, who won the 140 race from Ben Bailey on the 28, and Alec Wright on the 2 bike finished third in the 140 class. Here's the result then of the Pit Bike Open class, Jake.
Yep, Rogers taking the victory only just from Cameron Horsman, with Ray in third, fourth was Toms, and in the 140 class it was Holmes Williams just ahead of Bailey, Wright, with James Snow finishing up ahead of the 207 of Steve Dyer. So let's look at the points after Llandow. Rogers having just a 24-point advantage over Charlie Nesbitt, with Cameron Horsman there in third position. He'll be one to watch through the 2015 season, no doubt. And in the 140 class, Alec Wright just 16 points ahead of Ben Bailey, with the final race of the day winner Richard Holmes Williams in third in the standings after round one.
Quick highlights from the Mini F1 Sidecars. Now these machines you cannot buy from a Mini F1 sidecar shop. If you want to race these big boys, you've got to build one yourself. Quite remarkable. This race would come down to a battle between the 25 machine of Big Girl Racing, Paul and Scott Qualters, and the 26 machine, Team Williams. That's Mick Williams as the pilot, Michael Elms the passenger. The machine with the orange bodywork, that's Ems Racing. They'd have a close battle for the third and fourth spot with Team DMR. Ems Racing with the orange bodywork, number 76, number 44 with the yellow bodywork. You see them in the background there, battling over third and fourth. But this was a battle for the lead early on. It would really come down to this at the end of the day. This would be the decisive move that would see Team Williams take the win in this one. Into the hairpin, into Raymond's at the bottom of the circuit. It was Williams that would make the move, and that would prove decisive at the end of the day. Big Girl Racing on the 25 machine. The Qualters boys would hang on and keep Team Williams honest, but by the checkered flag, it was Team Williams that took a relatively comfortable victory. 25 machine Big Girl Racing would be home in second place, as we'll see from the official results. It was Ems Racing who would hold off Team DMR for that third spot. Team DMR themselves coming fourth, and Parker Elms Racing coming home in fifth. It's Team Williams that has the championship lead then after round one from Big Girl Racing, and Team DMR on 54 points. Now don't forget round two coming up at Lyd this weekend. Get a late entry in if you haven't already. Highlights on Motors TV next month.